The other one's named the same thing, so.
J2 part 2.
We'll see. Maybe this one will be smoother and I won't have as many mistakes in it. That's cool. All right.
We shall see this.
We will definitely see. So if you have the lab open. The first part is the same stuff that it normally is, telling you to, start idle, put your name in it, that sort of thing. Step 3 in part A is to go to that link that's broken. So if you go to the announcements page, you can copy the code you need from the first announcement. I don't know why the book rearranged that, but it did. It moved it several chapters. So once we get it copied and pasted in, we want to run it just to make sure that it works. And if you haven't saved it yet, go ahead and save it. And if you run it, you get this cute little turtle drawing random lines until it runs off the screen. Right? It's adorable. So we're going to add to it and make it better and make it more colorful and entertaining. So to do that, though, we want to make the code we just copied fit into the styles that we've been working on. So we're going to do some refactoring first. So we're going to clean this up, make it look pretty, and make it go the way we normally do it. So part 1 is to refactor the code. As you know, refactoring is the process of just changing it and making it cleaner and more useful for what we're doing. So the first thing it tells us to do is in the function is in screen, which goes from DEF all the way down to the return line. This is the function. As soon as you hit return or use the line return, a function is over. I didn't realize that I needed to say that again until yesterday when everybody tried to refactor that whole thing on step 1, and it didn't work so well for us. Right? Including me, because I tried to use the find and replace. Do not use find and replace in idle. You will not like the result. It was bad. All right, so the first thing it tells us to do is that it does not like that the variable names are W and T, because we usually use something that's more useful, right? If we're dealing with turtles, what do you think the book is using W and T for?
Turtle and like width. Wait, no.
Because like width is a good guess because we do a lot with it. But it's the window and the turtle. Right? Because we usually put the turtle in a window. So we're going to change W to window and T to turtle. And like I said, it would be great if this was like Word and we could just do find and replace. But that doesn't work because if you do replace W, it replaces every W with window and every T with window. And then you have window stuff in the middle of the word. Because it's a very simplistic find and replace. So we're going to go through here and do this. Because y'all just needed some practice typing today, right?
Oh no, I just copied and pasted like Indo from window and like put it in.
Yeah, okay. So everybody following me so far? And we just did it for that function. Now, it's really easy to see, oh, there's a T further down. I'm gonna replace that one. Don't do it. No, don't do it. So mess you up if you do. Okay? Yeah.
The turtle X equals.
Oh, yep, thank you. When I ran it, it would definitely yell at me for that.
So for the turtle X, we shouldn't change that into turtle dot X. Where we need to do?
Nothing below here. Nothing below the return.
Okay.
Nothing below return. All right, we got that running. You can run it again just to make sure you didn't make any typos. Thank you for catching mine, so I didn't get an error, compile error, but if you run it and get a compile error, you know, you typed turtle or window wrong, or you didn't, or you missed one, right? So So now the next step is to add doc strings for the in-screen function. So what it's basically saying is up here before it, you can add a doc string.
So we don't need it to be inside of.
It could be inside, it could be above it, either way. It's up to you.
Okay.
This just describes what the function's doing. And I'm not doing it for you. You can go in and put it in yourself. Basically, a sentence or two at most say, hey, this function tells the turtle when it reaches the edge of the screen, or that it's gone off the edge of the screen. When you get into Java, these descriptions get much more complex, and you have to describe the parameters and all that stuff. Are you doing that yet in the Java class?
Yeah, the preconditions, post-conditions, stuff.
Yeah. So the every function when you get into 1301 will have like a block of code above it. It'll be like a 1 or 2 sentence description of what it's supposed to do. And then you'll also tell it what inputs it takes, what outputs it has, and stuff like that. So it's just a good practice to start getting a habit of you're going to be describing them. I'm not grading them that closely, but good practice to start getting in that habit. So the next thing it wants us to do is take the code that creates the window and the turtle and move the turtle around until it moves outside the bounds of the window, basically the rest of the code. And we're going to take that and take it and put it into a function where it's not orphan code. Right now, it's just floating around in the file. And if you got your project back and it's just orphan code, or I told you that it was weird, it's because you just had code that wasn't in a function and I took off points for it. So what we're going to do is create a function and you get to name it. Look, I didn't give you a name for it, but it needs to be something that makes sense. So I think yesterday we called it walking turtle. I don't care what you call it, as long as you understand what it's supposed to do. And when I grade it, I understand what it's supposed to do. So you can put a doc string in and tell me what it does, or you can name it appropriately, or you can do both. Name it appropriately and put a doc string in. Make me happy. Do both. So what do y'all want to call it for today? Nobody's creative today? Want to name this function? This is where my creativity kills me.
Wait,
So we're gonna
right?
screen test. Let's go with something that has turtle in it, since we're dealing with a turtle. So yesterday I called it walking turtle. We'll just call it that again.
Walking turtle screen test.
If that's what you want to do with yours, go for it. So then I'm going to take all of this code and tab it over so it's in the.
You can do that without having to.
Yeah, you could do that without having to.
Why didn't you show me this earlier?
I didn't know I needed to. But
You know
We did, nobody could do it.
Yes.
hey, you can highlight a block of code and press tab, and the whole thing will move over.
Thank you for teaching me all this.
Expecting it to delete it and only having tab over.
It's not quite Notepad. It's like a step up from Notepad, but yeah, it comes really in handy when you copied and pasted code, because sometimes their tabs and your tabs are not the same, then you can fix it. Right? So it works the other way too, not as easy though. But anyway, so we've got this new function, right? Now we need a main to call that function.
Oh, so you put the main in?
I haven't put it in yet, but we're fixing to. So you're gonna have some doc strings here, right?
Mhm.
I don't get to need 4 of those, you just need 3 of them. I always put my main at the top because that's just how the person who taught me to program. You can put it at the bottom. It doesn't matter really where you put it as long as you define it and use it. Like I said, I like them at the top because that's what I was taught. And if you took coding with me throughout my career, I taught you to put it at the top. You can ask your husband, he'll tell you that the main's on the top. And that's just a me thing. There are some coding languages that tell you where it has to be. Python's not one of them.
Does it for y'all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yay, I'm happy.
But you'll find as you get further along in Java that you're usually gonna put the main in a file all by itself. Because you start getting into more of the object-oriented concept where you're making classes and everything is compartmentalized. You put everything together. But I don't want to confuse you with that because we're not doing that here.
You already confused me.
Yeah, so let's let that go. Just let that thought go. All right, so we're gonna put our main up here.
You're trying to scare me, man.
I'm not trying to scare you at all. It's really not bad. They'll ease you into it, I promise. 2 semesters worth of Java. Depending on your major. So you have a print statement in here.
Let's buy them name.
Yeah, lab 6 by me. Right? And then you're going to call turtle walking. Now, why am I not calling is in screen? Because turtle walking calls that. So I don't need to call it twice. So let's run it. Make sure everything's still working. Oh, look, nothing happened. What did I leave off? The main at the bottom. Remember I told you when we started using main that when I created, I would usually try to go ahead and put that line in because I forget it. Hey, I forgot it. All right, so I made a mistake on turtle walking. It should have been walking turtle because my brain's not working again this morning.
And we weren't paying attention to it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Y'all can't do everything for me. I could lie and say that I make these mistakes on purpose, just where you would all see them, but I don't.
I like that you're a teacher though. Oh, it's kind of sneak. I like that. And
And he's just gonna go forever, it looks like, because he's never, there we go. So, we now have a turtle that randomly wanders around, and as you can see, he could be there a very long time if the random turns are not in your favor.
Okay, so put it back in the code.
Right, so we know that's working. And we have, we'll put some spaces in because it makes me happy. We have 3 functions now. We have a main, we have still in screen, and we have our walking turtle. Huh? All right. Okay. Anyway, so now what is our next step to do?
it is.
In the new function we just created, we need to refactor the variable names T and WN to be more self-documenting. We introduced a main function already, and we have called the last line. So T and WN are not very good names. you need to give your turtle a name. It could be Alex, it could be Bob, it could be George, it could be whatever you want to name your turtle, right? Let's be annoying. We're gonna name this one Tommy, just because I like to pick on my brother.
I choose mint.
Huh?
I choose mint.
Mint, you could be Mint. I'm gonna change window, WN to win, because that to me makes sense that it's the window.
Winnie.
You could call your window whatever you want to, you could, just don't use a keyword like screen. And don't use window, because it could confuse it later, because window has been defined somewhere else. So in here, I've got to go through and change all my T's to Tommy, or whatever you named it. Yesterday, my brain wasn't working and I changed them all to turtle, and it did not like that at all. And then I had to go back and refactor it a second time. So I've made some pretty significant changes at this point. So I need to go in and run it again, or I feel like running it again would be a good idea to make sure I didn't miss anything or misspell it. And I did, because I made it turtle instead of Tommy here. If you end up with a turtle and a pointer, then you have two turtles on the screen, right? And you did something wrong. You should not have two turtles. The only time you should have two turtles is if the assignment specifically says create a second turtle. Yes. Yeah, I can go back to the top. So, how far back do you need me to go? Okay, so that's the main and the first function there. And then do you have this one? Okay, so you want to take pictures of them, or you want me to? Okay.
It looks like a cross-eyed bug that's like very.
It's all random, so everybody gets a different one. So you made your screen bigger, so he had more room to run with, right?
Make it smaller, so it's finished this quick.
Or you can wait till we get further along and we'll put in another,
Waiting.
awaiting takes too long.
So it's
Yeah.
turtle.speed or.
No, we're gonna put in a condition that says if it's moved more than 50 times, we're just gonna tell it stops. Because we're tired of waiting on it to finish. All right, so I'm gonna keep going. If you need help getting caught up in a minute because you come in late, definitely will help you. But don't want to keep everybody else held up. So at this point, we have a randomly walking turtle making pictures. So we can move to the next part. This is where we're going to add new code.
Will we
Yeah.
still use comments or just
Yes,
the doctrine?
You absolutely will still use comments, especially if it's something that's just for yourself that you don't want gathered up into that documentation file. You know, because you want to say something like, huh, this code is crazy. You may not want that published in a documentation file, right? So the next thing we're going to do is add new functionality. You can use the Turtle graphics document file to find out what different things you can do. I don't think we really need anything wild and crazy that we haven't already used today. But, if we did, this link actually does work to go to the Turtle graphics documentation file. This one for the book does not work. All the book links from here on out, I think, are broken because they reshuffled all the chapters at the end of the thing. So as I find them, I will let you know. Or if you find one, let me know. So that being said, part 2, RC, whichever one you want to call it, tells us to modify the functionality so that in addition to randomly turning left or right 90 degrees, that it also has a third and a fourth option to turn left or right 45 degrees. So we want to add some functionality to it. We want our turtle to do some more turning. So we're not going to touch is in screen anymore because it does what it's supposed to do and we're not changing that. So we're going to go down here to our walking turtle and let's take a little code walk. Let's walk through this step by step and make sure you understand what it's doing. Because if you don't understand what it's doing, it's going to be really hard to modify. So right now, the first thing it does is it's creating a turtle, and then it's creating a screen for the turtle to live in, because the turtle has to have a home. The next one is changing the turtle's shape from the little triangle pointer looking thing into the actual turtle. Right? Then we get to a while loop. While is in screen, passing in the window of the turtle that we created, it's going to loop. As soon as the turtle is not in the screen, that function returns false and the while loop stops. Right? So we've set up a variable called coin inside of the loop, and it's going to put a random number into that variable between 0 and the stopping point is 2. So basically you have two choices, 0 and 1, right? Kind of simulates flipping a coin, which is why it was named coin. The next thing it does is has an if statement, and if the coin is 0, it's going to turn left. Otherwise, it's going to turn right. And then it's going to move forward. Notice that forward is not included inside of the if. If it was included inside of the if, and only in one branch of it, it wouldn't work. So if later when we are testing, if your turtle is just spinning in a circle instead of the screen, you've improperly indented the forward line. Because he's never moving forward. This win on that exit on click means that when you click in the window or you use the X button, it closes. So everybody understand what it does right now?
Yeah.
So what's the first step we're going to need if we want to change it from 2 options to 4 options? Change the range from a 2 to a 4.
Do you want us to like change it to 12?
Yes.
Okay.
Or yours won't do what mine does when we get done.
That's true.
So see, since I'm doing all the labs for you in class, everybody should get a 10 on every lab and have a perfect lab score because I've done them all. So we now have that. What are we going to do next?
We will add more.
Add more to the if statement we have. We don't want to add different if statements. We want to add else if to the one we already have. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in an else if coin equals 1. And yeah, I get that it's not really a coin toss simulation anymore because we have 4 choices for like a die, but you know, a die 4. They have 4-sided die. Bring my dice with me in school one day. So we're gonna do that. I don't want to change the variable because I just don't. If you want to, feel free. And then now Tommy is gonna go left, but this time he's only gonna go left 45 degrees, right? And I'm gonna put another else if in. So now we have 4 different things that happen. Someone asked me in the previous class if we could have put an else if for the 4th one and checked if it was 3. Absolutely. But why if you don't have any other options? It's actually slightly faster not to put the test in there. It also, if you messed up and put the wrong number in the range, it catches all those extra numbers you weren't expecting. If you put 5 in there, it would catch 4, 3 and 4. So it's kind of like a fail safe to catch everything else. It's not doing exactly what you wanted to do, but it does catch potential error. So if we run it now, we should get a slightly more interesting picture. Because now he doesn't have to turn just 90 degrees. Of course, he may never get off the screen this way.
But all you gotta do is click on
Yeah, you can click on it, make it go away. That's
it.
what the
It's on my
exit.
screen right now.
That's what the exit on click means.
Look at what-
So the exit on click means you don't have to actually click the X. You can click anywhere in the window and it will take you out of it. It's great when it does go crazy. It never leaves the screen and you're tired of waiting on it. Or if you have an infinite loop and it's never going to end, clicking on the screen, it goes away. All right, so that gets us through that. The next one wants to modify the functionality so the turtle draws a different color every time it turns. So inside of my if statement, I want to change its color. And I kind of, it doesn't matter if you put it before or after the turn. If you put it before the turn, it will happen, then move. If you put it after the turn, it's still going to do it before it moves. It's just, when we get to the next step, the turtle's color will change quicker. It doesn't matter. But we won't. I'm going to put it after just because. So now Tommy needs to change his color. And I'm going to make it blue for this one. And because I'm lazy, I'm going to copy this on a code. Paste it. And then make this one green. Why am I making them all different colors?
Because I want to make sure it actually works. And
Yeah, because I want to be able to easily tell if it's working. And if each one has a different color, then, and they're set colors, I can watch it and tell that it worked. What do I want to use the fourth one? You can use yellow, you can use whatever. I used the 4 that I could spell quickly and remember off the top of my head, but you could go look up the colors and put whatever color you wanted in there. If you wanted to be really fancy, you know how to make random colors, right? From the last. Nobody's requiring that though. Red, green, blue, yellow is fine. If you want purple, it's violet, that sort of thing. So now if I run it, he changes colors. The turtle has an identity crisis. It doesn't know what color it is. So,
I like that.
you like that? Like that he has an identity crisis? The next thing wants us to add a line placing a stamp, but the stamp only needs to be placed for the 90-degree turns.
Because that one will have a square. Well, part of the square.
Well, just because we can. But you want to modify the functionality where it places, every time it turns right or left 90 degrees, it places a turtle stamp. It needs to place the stamp before changing colors. Specifically tells you that. Because if you don't, the turtle stamp will be the previous color. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we want to make sure that we put the color in first. I mean, the stamp in.
So you want stamp above the direction.
Yes. You can either put it above the direction or above dot color. I'm going to put it above the direction because that way I know it changed before it ever turns. Doesn't matter as long as it comes before dot color. And remember, we only want it on the 90-degree turns, so be careful, don't copy it into all four. So now when we run it, we should have a whole bunch of little turtles stamped onto our screen too. But only when a 90-degree turn happens. This turtle ran and did a lot of 45-degree turns and only 3 90-degree turns. Yeah.
My turtle. Look how many turtles I have.
Are you sure that he made 45-degree turns? I'll come look at it in a minute. Let's.
Oh, shit, what I pressed?
I don't know.
I turned my computer back around and I just blank screened me, so I'm very scared.
You probably just pulled the cord out. It's okay.
No, they're all for good. Did all my code just scare me?
If you turn the computer all the way off, it did.
Because I was on the left side. When I turned it back around, I think I hit something here. But I can't be sure.
I don't know.
Oh, it's back.
Yeah, I think when I pressed the power button, it came back on.
Okay,
When you moved it, if you touch this corner, you can turn it off.
not sure how I did that, but I'm just saving my code right now.
Yeah, save your code. Definitely save your code. Yeah, but not if she turns this computer. Well, yeah, because it doesn't deep freeze until the middle of the night, so you should be able to get it back through the day, as long as you saved it somewhere on the computer, which you have to, or it won't compile. Deep freezes is great and bad at the same time. So if we did that, and we verified that it ran with a stamp, now we're down to step 4. Step 4 is to modify the functionality to where we're going to test and make sure that it hasn't gone more than 50 forwards.
So we're making this a brand new if.
Nope. We're going to modify our while loop. This is actually just one thing one place that we have to modify our logic. And if you read the hints, it tells you exactly how to do this. You're going to need 3 lines of code, or you're going to modify 1 line of code and add 2 new lines of code. And that's all you have to do to make this work. So our while loop right now is set up to run while it's in the screen. Now, but what we want to change it to do is where it runs while it's in the screen and some counter we create is less than 50. Right? So the first thing we're going to do, according to hint 1, is create that counter. And oddly enough, it tells me to create a counter. I'm going to create a variable called counter and set it equal to 0 to get it started because we haven't counted anything yet. We want to do this before the while loop starts, because if we set it up inside the while loop, it'll reset itself to 0 every time it runs, and then it hasn't counted anything. Then we're going to modify our while loop. And you remember that we talked about and or? Logical operators, right? Boolean logic. We're going to use the keyword and we're going to go counter is less than 50. So what this is telling the while loop is, while the in screen function is returning true and the counter is less than 50, now the while loop has to have both those conditions to run. If either one of them fails, it stops. For testing purposes, because I don't want to wait for it to run 50 times, I'm going to change it to 10 in a minute, just to prove that it works. But one more line of code before we get there is we have to update counter after it's gone forward, right? So I'm going to put counter in one more time. And this time I'm gonna do counter is equal to counter plus 1, because it should have stepped forward, should have gone forward 1 time at that point, right? So in theory, this should work. Like I said, for testing purposes, I'm gonna change this to a small number because I want it to stop to make sure it stops. So I could change it to 5, I could change it to 10. I'll try 10. When I run it, it went off the screen. Of course it did. So let's run it one more time and see if we can get it to not go off the screen. 5 works real well. Yeah. There, 10 works. We see it went 10 times and then it stopped. So this is working. I'm gonna change it back to 50 because that's what the requirements for your grade was. Right?
Yeah, I'm just like,
Yours says like what?
it says unbound local error, local variable counter reference before assignment.
Then you need to make sure that you put the counter equals 0 before the while loop.
Out.
Or make sure you spelled it the same. Now this turtle is just going all over the place. But he got to 50 and stopped. This is a lot of fun for me to grade because I get to see how long your turtles run. And it's entertaining. I don't know why I'm easily entertained, but I am. All right, so guess what? That's all of lab 6. So if you have yours and it's not working, let me know. I'm gonna come around and look at them. But I'm gonna stop this recording first.